here, I hope you're all well. It is Tuesday the 6th of August, it's almost 8 o'clock here in the UK. I'm a little bit later uploading a whip update for you for this month, and I did actually toy with not doing one this month and just skipping August and then, you know, doing something at the end of September, but I thought actually, do you know what, I have made some progress, so I will come and show you that. I have a finish and a new start and then some progress on some of the regular whips that you've seen, so there is a bit to see. Yeah, it's been one of those really. It's funny, in the summer I tend to stitch quite a lot less than I would normally in the winter. Obviously the longer nights in the winter, there's not a lot to do, so you might as well stitch and do stuff like that. But when it's nice outside, or relatively nice outside, because we haven't had the most wonderful summer here in the north of the UK, which is where I live. If you're in the south, it's been a whole lot better. Up here, I don't know. We've had a lot of wind, we've had a lot of rain, and some days where it's felt more like autumn in November. So I guess it is what it is. We make the most of what we can get when we get it here in the UK. But yeah, it's got a lot going on at the minute, and I'll no doubt fill you in on that as and when I get updates. But there's a lot going on at the moment in and around some of the stuff that I'm doing. The builders are in later on this week to start the garage conversion. There already is a little bit of progress in there, so what I thought I would do is just vlog the progress on that conversion, because I know some people like that sort of update. I like watching you know, home kind of, you know, changes to people's houses and interior design videos and things like that. So I thought I'd do one of those. It'll be like I'll just merge all of the vlogs together and put up kind of a before and after type of video if you want to watch that. But I personally like that sort of thing, so, you know, for me, if I like that sort of stuff, I'll put it on my channel. But yes, yeah, so that's going to happen, which is exciting. And then there's just a couple of other things that are ticking along that are causing me a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety, but I will fill you in and around that as and when I get some more updates and progress. But I've been spending a bit more time over at the Static, so that's my static caravan over on the East Coast, for those who don't know. I did toy earlier this year with selling it. It's very different over there in the summer. It's okay. I'm enjoying it quite a lot more. Still hasn't gone out of my head entirely that I may or may not sell it, but you know, we're going with the flow, and obviously that's one of the things that is sort of preying on my mind a little bit. But you know, it is what it is. I'm trying to film this, and you know when you're not in the best of moods, so I'm hoping that it's going to come across okay. But I feel quite whingy and I feel quite whiny today. So yeah, I've had a bit of a clash at work this morning as well. It wasn't a bad thing, not with one individual person, but just a bit of frustration around some of the things that are happening at work at the minute. So I kind of blew up a little bit on a teleconference this morning, which is, it is like me, but you know when you feel as though you could have probably contained yourself a little bit better, and I didn't. So, but other than that, things are okay. The weight loss is, I'm about where I want to be. So I have lost, how much have I lost? There's 14 pounds in a stone, isn't it? 2 stones, 28, 30 pounds in weight in the last 6 months. So yeah, it's gone really well. So that's like 2 stone, 2 pounds in UK weight, and I think it's 30 pounds in international European American weight. So that's 2 dress sizes, which is a good position to be in. I've done quite a lot of cardio. I now need to do some toning kind of things, some weights. Luckily, I'm not too bad in terms of kind of skin and things like that. I wasn't that big, do you know what I mean? But you know, when you just need to kind of tighten everything back up again. But I'm feeling good, I'm feeling physically fit, healthy, and yeah, so I'm at my ideal weight now, and yeah, I'm starting to eat a little bit more of the stuff I like and feed, you know, sort of bring all of that back in bit by bit as well. Everything in moderation, a good healthy diet and plenty of exercise, and I'm sure it will continue to go from strength to strength. So that being done, you probably want to see a little bit of stitching. So we will go with my finish first. Where's my little board? Oh, it's over there. Bear with me, I'll be right back. So my finish is Nora Corbett's Snapdragon, and here she is, completely finished, back stitch and beaded, and I'm going to do a close-up of her in just a moment for you because she will not be translating at all well on in this light for some reason. I think I'll put the other lights on in a minute when I move over. But I did stitch her skin 1/1, which was quite brave on this fabric, and I think I've just about got away with it because it's blue up here and she looks slightly, I'm trying to think of the word, unwell. Let's just say. I should have stitched it 2/2. I did my Lily skin 2/2, but I really like the look of 1/1 skin, which I'll be able to do obviously on the Mirabilia because it's a much lighter fabric, but I think I've just about got away with it. But I'm going to do you a zoom in just now so you can have a good look at the fabric and things like that, because I stitched her on, this is a 32 count opalescent fabric called Quiescence, and it was hand dyed by, was this a Chromatic Alchemy? This is a Chromatic Alchemy from here in the UK. So I just like the two-tone version. I think my choice in terms of how I've positioned her on the fabric, stitching it the way around that I did, works well. So as I said, I'm just going to change the camera angle and zoom in a little bit more closely on her for you so you can see some more of the details, because as I said, she'll just not look good like this. So bear with me. So here she is. I'm thinking that maybe you'll be able to see a little bit of the opalescent hues on here, but she is stitched 2/2 generally. Let me just try and, it's all shadow now because I am filming this and the sun's going down, which probably isn't the best idea, but I know if I don't do it now I'll never do it. And the beadwork is all on her, but yeah, it's catching the light a little bit. But these really large beads down here are so pretty, and the rest of her, as I said, isn't regular cross stitch 2/2. As I mentioned about her skin, that's all stitched 1/1 tent. As I said, I think I've just about got away with the hue of her skin. She did look a little bit like the Corpse Bride, but I think on balance I've just about managed to pull that off with a really light skin tone. But in future on a fabric that dark, I think it would be insane not to use 2 strands of thread. But I think she's stunning. I love her dress. It took me about 130 odd hours to stitch her. It was a similar length of time to Lily, funny enough. I think this just took a little bit more, but a lot longer than you ever think. But there's a lot of colour changes within her dress, and then obviously within the Nora Corbett smaller design you've got a lot of blended threads, which I absolutely detest. I hate blending the threads. It shouldn't really make that much of a difference, but it's one of my pet hates. But that is her. I love her wings, just love the detail in the wings and just the shades that she is in, and the fabric just sets her off a treat, so I'm over the moon with her. So because I had a finish, you've always got to have a new start, haven't you? And I decided, there's a little on the pattern, I decided I would start one of the Santoro kits, but it's Santoro design. It's designed by Bothy Threads, and it's the Hush Little Bunny. She is a gorgeous girl. Really, really nice design. I've filmed, which I haven't uploaded yet, kind of a kit overview in terms of what you get with this kit in particular, and I'll get that uploaded for you because that might be worthwhile in terms of the quality of the Bothy thread. So she gets a Bothy thread Yeah, I think I might have said that, a bothy thread kit, and they are super nice. So I have done a bit of an overview of that, so I will get it uploaded for you. The nice thing about the Gorgeous Girl kits now, obviously you stitch them on Aida. This is a 16 count Aida, I believe. Yes it is, but it's kind of, excuse the hoop outline there, it's kind of hand dyed and it's texturized, and it's really quite nice. So I've made a reasonable amount of progress on her dress and the little bunny that she's holding as well, so that's just a few nights work, but it's nice to stitch something like that. It's fairly straightforward, relatively stress-free, blocky in terms of colours, which is nice because you're not kind of having to think too much about your stitching, and you know, it's not like a mirror or a heaven and earth design, so it's relatively straightforward, and I am actually really enjoying working on this. So hopefully over the next month I'll get some good progress on that design. But they're such sweet little kits, and it just breaks up, because obviously I tend to stitch quite large meaty projects, as you all know, and yeah, it just tends to break that up a little bit for me, where I've got something where I know I'm going to get a finish, because the rest of the pieces that I'm working on, I don't think, you know, the finishes are going to be few and far between this year. I don't think any of the big projects are going to get finished. In fact, I'd be surprised. I mean, maybe Persephone, which I'll show you now, as a possibility, but again, that really does depend. So let me get her onto the board for you. She's huge, and obviously I'm stitching the background with her as well, so I'll put in a picture of what she'll look like when she's finished and where I was last time you saw her. And yeah, this is her now, so she is coming on. Obviously the artificial lighting isn't helping massively, but she's getting there. I've spent a lot of the last period of time working on this section here and filling in a lot of the flowers on the garland. So that section in the corner here, a hand's holding this bit of dress, that's all done by the beads. There's a lot of beads to go on her. I mean, she's going to look awesome when she's done, but the bulk of her dress is done. I have to say, the bulk of the dress is done. There's just a lot of skin, and I'm stitching that one over when I've started, just to get a feel for it, and obviously a little bit of her arms being done. I'm probably going to do a bit of her skin this afternoon, not this afternoon, but this month, to break it up. And then there's all of the background, which is the herons and things like that. But yeah, there's just a lot to her, and it's always the same with the mirrors, isn't it? It's been a long time since I stitched a mirror, one of the ladies, and yeah, you forget how much work is actually involved in them. I am enjoying her, I am enjoying working on her, but she's a big girl, and yeah, there's a lot of man hours going into her. But again, I'm stitching her on a 32 count opalescent, which I'm sure you're not able to see and is not translating well, because they never do. This is a hand-dyed fabric from Sparkly's here in the UK called Slightly Nutty, so it's like a really nice pale pink hue to it, and yeah, no, it's nice. I couldn't be happier with her. There's a lot of different colours within that bit on the side. There's a lot of oranges that have started to come into her dress. Those garlands are quite something, and then when the beading goes into it, she's really pretty, and I just hope that, you know, the camera right now is doing it justice in terms of some of the colours that are in her, because she is far more beautiful than the picture, you know, you would imagine from the picture. I don't think ever any photograph of a Mirabilia or an Aura Corbett would ever possibly do it justice, because they are so, I don't know, heavily embellished. The colours are awesome. I just don't think until you see one in person or finished, or, you know, shot on a really good camera, that you would ever really appreciate how amazing they are when they're done. So I'm thoroughly enjoying her. I'm looking forward to picking her up again this month, and as I said, I'll be focusing a little bit more on her skin, maybe trying to get some of the body's completely finished on her dress as well, but we'll see how the skin incorporates itself. I have worked on my Autumn at Hawker and Hollow piece, so I'll put in a picture of what this will look like when it's done and where I was last time with it. So I wanted, let me just move my needle minder, I wanted to get the 4th block finished, which I did earlier on this month, so I'm pleased to say that that is finished. So I am officially over a third of the way through this now, which is nice. Stitched fully in the Call for MPI silks, stitched on a 40 count fabric. I'm stitching this 1/2 on 40 counts. It's coming out 20 count size, and this is a fabric, it's not hand dyed, it's like a printed fabric. It's like a mottled, obviously you can't really tell for all the creases, but it's a mottled fabric. It's like got brown shades through it. It's called Vintage Country Mocha. I bought this from So and So, just on the, you know, you can see how much is to go. I mean, it's a great big huge piece of fabric. I think, I could be wrong, I'm trying to think how tall this is when it's done. Is it 3 foot or something like that? It's a big piece when it's all finished. And on the design itself, the picture of the finished design, they've got this in a wonderful frame, which would ship from the US, and I don't know obviously what I'll frame this in. I just like the shape of it because it's obviously arched on the top. It would be good to frame it in a, you know, a frame that sort of set it off. I don't know, we'll have a look when we get to that point, but it's one of those pieces that it's nice to dip into on a monthly basis or whatever. There's no sense of urgency for this. I'm really enjoying working on it. It's very blocky in terms of stitching, excuse me. So for example, that house is just a couple of colours. So yeah, it's quite mind numbing, which sometimes you actually want when it comes to stitching. You don't want to be counting and really thinking too much about what you're putting onto the fabric in terms of stitching. So it's actually nice sometimes to stitch a piece like that where it's not complex, you're not overthinking things. Sometimes we just need to kind of switch our mind off. And then the last thing that I've worked on, well, it's actually not officially the last thing I've worked on, but I will explain my situation with one of the pieces at the minute. I will show you my Steam Heart by Chris Ortega. This is a Heaven and Earth design. I've left it on the frame because I'm currently working on her at the minute, and with all the will in the world, and as much as I love you all, I just cannot be bothered to take her off the frame. As much as I love you, not this time. Maybe at the end of August. Yeah, it will be end of August. So I'll put in a picture of what she'll look like when she's done, and a picture of where I was last time. And this is her so far. So I've been working, where am I? Here on this page. So this page has a few more bits of detail to go in, as does just a couple of stitches through here. And then when I get to about there, we have a page finished. So been working on her hair. This has been quite nice because there's lots of blocks of stitching in it. You know, so she is coming on. She's my real labour of love. I absolutely adore this. It's one of those where you sometimes think, will I ever finish it? Yeah, do you know what, actually I will this one, because yeah, I want to see it done, and I really do want to make some decent progress on it, because I really like this, and I would like it on my wall in the next couple of years, in ideally. But I'm stitching this on just a normal piece of, I think it's like antique white Lagana. It's 25 count. I'm stitching her 1/1 with just standard DMC. Obviously it's full coverage, so really it doesn't matter particularly what's underneath it. So I got a little bit delayed with her because I was stitching here in the kind of kitchen seating area, and I've obviously got tile floor, and my Kindle fell off and smashed on the floor, like the screen just shattered. And you know when you know you've done it and it just sounds bad. And ironically it happened, I want to say 2, potentially 3 days after the Amazon Prime 2 days. So I was, you know, when you think, oh my god, if this had happened 3 days ago I could have saved myself 50 quid, because the Kindles were half price, weren't they? So I was just ever so slightly annoyed, so I had to shell out for a new Kindle. I think I got a HD 7 or 8, it cost about £79. I didn't go for the top of the range thing because I literally used that for just working on, you know, the easy PDF patterns. And yeah, so I got a little bit delayed in terms of her, because then I had to buy a Kindle, and you know when you're thinking, you just begrudge paying for it, do you know what I mean? So anyway, I got round to eventually ordering one, and got back on with her again. So I am working on her at the minute. Obviously the other piece that I am working on, which I'm not going to show you because I'm at exactly the same point that I was last time, although I have stitched on it, and I'll tell you why in a minute, is my chatelaine, which is the Tudor Royal Mandala, which is absolutely stunning. But I was stitching the 4th vegetable patch. I've stitched the 4th vegetable patch and I was just about to start all the specialty stitches within it last time I showed you. Went to do that and then realised I'd miscounted where I'd put the vegetable patch, and actually it was off. So I had to frog that section and stitch it back in, and by the time I'd done that I was miffed. So I've left it at the point where it was last time you saw it. So I do need to pick that up and make some decent progress on that through the rest of this month. So I will show you that next time, but there literally isn't any point because it looks like what it did last time. So I hope you forgive me for that. But in terms of what I want to do this month, I obviously want to work some more on the mirror, the headpiece here on my knee. I want to do some more on the chatelaine, so I've got something to show you on that next time, and the Hush Little Bunny. Am I going to have a new start? Yet another one? Potentially. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not going to. There is that floral design that Maureen sent me, cross stitch button, that I have been talking about stitching on. I just haven't literally got round to starting that yet, but there's that piece that I wouldn't mind trying out and having a go at, just from the point of view of it's a different type of kit. It's one of the Russian kits. There's just so much that I want to do, but it's like everything, isn't it? It's just lack of time, and you know, before you know it, another week's gone. We're through, by and large, not far off finish the summer now, and I don't know how you guys feel. I just feel sometimes that life doesn't pass you by. That's like the wrong way to say it, but it almost does. It's like before you know it, another week's gone. And I know we live for the weekends when you work, but I just feel the weekends come around so quickly now in a way that they never did. And there's another week, another week, another week, then that becomes a month, and then it's 2 months, and you know, there's so much that I want to do and want to achieve that I almost feel like there's that much I want to do, I just don't get around to anything because I don't know where to start. You know, I want to obviously stitch. I mean, stitching is a big thing. I haven't diamond painted for an absolute age, and I do enjoy that. I do want to diamond paint. I want to do some more crafting. I haven't, you know, I do a lot of colouring of stamped images and making cards for them. I want to colour. I do Copic colouring, I do distress ink colouring, I do pencil colouring, you name it, all sorts, and I just don't feel as I have the time. My Etsy store has sort of fallen by the wayside. I just haven't put together any more of the kits, the jewellery making kits that I sell, because that just became more of a bind than anything, because I just found that it wasn't that I couldn't keep up with it, it's just getting organised enough. I was never organised enough, so I do want to get that up and running, but I think that's probably going to be like an autumn winter project to get all of that fully stocked and up and running again. I don't see myself doing that over the next couple of months. And then obviously I am exercising, you know, getting all of that done. I'm trying to get across the static more on a weekend, and you know, when life just goes. So yeah, I'm just desperately trying to cling on to the days at the minute, but yeah, it's things are okay. I will come and talk to you about a couple of things. I'll probably do a stitch with me or something mid-month, and then come and do an update with you. And then I'd like to start putting more content up on the channel like I did sort of over the autumn and winter of last year. I was uploading a lot more frequently, and I'd like to start doing that again when the weather changes potentially, and you know, life starts to return to normal following the summer. So there are my thoughts and plans. In terms of stitching, you know what I'm going to do. No real plans around that. I'll just stitch what I want as and when I want to, which is always the best way. I don't ever follow a strict rotation or anything like that. Just try and get through as much as I can in a month really, and rotate the pieces just for interest and so I don't get bored. But other than that, there is nothing else to add. I suspect now, looking at the time, it's 8:20. I'm not going to get this uploaded tonight. It might go out tomorrow for you. And I will come back early, gosh, it will be September, early September, and show you what I've got done in this joyous August month. So at that point I will love you and leave you. My mood has picked up, so I think talking alone to a camera, well obviously to you guys, has helped my mood somewhat, so thank you for that. I feel in a much better mental state than I did when I started filming this, so I hope you were able to bear with the misery at the beginning. But I will catch up with you very soon, so you take care guys. I'll catch you later. See you for now. Lots of love. Bye bye.